Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and here on YouTube you know me as Epic Fantasy, and this is my latest tutorial. This is a blacksmithing video, and in this video we make a medieval style letter opener. And an interesting thing about this is if you wonder what a blacksmith does and you want to know what a blacksmith does, I show you 5 different techniques in this video. Something simple as this uses a whole range of techniques that a blacksmith uses. And I'm going to stress on you the point that the edge of the anvil is a big deal for a blacksmith, although we don't really talk about it a whole lot. You think of a blacksmith as using the flat surface and hammering stuff down, but the edges of the anvil are very important to a smith. Dioramas, origami, catapults, and treasure stays, telescopes, terrariums, bonsai trees, and paper games, swords and shields, and real blacksmithing, model rockets, animation. I teach the art of real creation. StormTheCastle.com. Let's make something. Okay, let's get started. For this project, I'm using a piece of bar stock. It is 1/2 inch wide, and I cut off a piece that is 12 inches long. Now, the first technique I'm going to show you here is something called upsetting the metal. So let's say we want the end of this bar to be larger with more mass than the rest of the bar. How do we do that? We use a technique called upsetting. And what I'm doing is I'm placing it on the anvil and I am hammering down on it. And see how it's getting thicker? It's kind of like forming a trombone or a trumpet horn like that. See, that's wonderful. That has more steel now. Otherwise, how could you do it? If you just hammered on it, you would thin it out. And this thickens it. And you can do a lot of this. And this is a great technique for scroll work and various different things. And you can localize that. Now watch this. I'm pouring water on the bar where I don't want the upsetting to spread. Let's cool that part of the bar down so the flaring of the steel only occurs where we want it to. We don't want it to continue up the bar. So that's it. That's the first technique. It is called upsetting metal. And it's a very common thing for blacksmiths to do. And there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You could clamp it in a vise and hammer it. You can just pound it down on the ground or on a sheet of metal or something like that. But this is just about right. This is what we want. And this forms part of the handle of our letter opener. I like it. So now we're going to work on the other end of the bar. We want to make a blade, but before we can do that, we want to do something called pointing the bar. We're going to bring this to a point, and this is how we do it. See how I'm near the edge of the anvil, and I'm hammering it at an angle. And the reason why we're near the edge of the angle is so that the hammer can lean over the edge. And then now I'm going back and forth at 90-degree angles like that. See that? Causing a diamond shape on the end of that handle. And now I'm going to stretch out that point. I'm doing the same thing, moving it 90 degrees at an angle at a time, back and forth. And I'm leaning it over the edge of the anvil, so what happens is it stretches it out. And I'm hitting it right where the angle is. So that steel thins and stretches, and it's still at a 90-degree angle. So we're turning a round stock into a square stock. So from here to continue pointing it out, I'm going to hammer on those angles. So now I turn it, and instead of being 4-sided, we make it 8-sided. Watch. You should be able to see it here. There, there, there. Now I'm hammering on the angles, and that rounds it out. So now it's octagonal instead of square. So you can do that again and make it even rounder. So this is how we get our point. Really easy. If you're new to blacksmithing, practice this. It's really good because you use the edge of the anvil, you gain some hammer control, and you'll see how it works. See? You can see how it's shaped. So we've done upsetting, we've done pointing, we've done drawing out of the steel on the edge of the anvil, and from here I'm just going to use a smaller hammer to do the detail work to make it the roundness that I want. And now that we have a point on this bar, we can turn it into the blade of the letter opener. But let me just finish it off to get it the detail that I like. which is really not a big deal. I want to keep this very rustic looking and medieval looking. So, you know, that rough forged look is wonderful, and that's, you know, what we're going for. And there you go. I'm happy with it. So now we're going to just flat it out. And this is what you think of when you think of a blacksmith. I'm going to put it flat on the anvil and then hammer it with a 3-pound hammer to just flat it out. And because we've pointed it, it will create a double-sided, double-edged blade shape. Just like that. And if you can see, I'm actually hammering more and harder towards the tip. So now the blade has a tapering towards the end. It's thicker up here near the handle on the left of your video, and it's thinner on the right. So there you go. We flattened it. And they make flatting tools that you can use. You put the flatting tool on it, and then you hit the tool with the hammer, and that flattens things out really quick. But I like it. And there you go. That's what a blacksmith does, right? Just puts steel on top of the anvil and hammers it. But you've noticed we've done very little of that in this video, because it's the edge of the anvil where so much work gets done, just like I said in the intro. So now what do we do next? Well, we want to bevel the edges of that. I'm going to shape it a little bit just to get it the way I like it. Make the letter opener blade kind of symmetrical and even from side to side, and so it looks the way I like it. And then I'm going to bevel each edge so it can work with a knifing action. Although it isn't a knife, it's a letter opener. And to do that, I'm going to hammer again on the edge of the anvil. So I'm going to put the piece, you can't reach it in the middle, but when you have it on the edge, the hammer can hang half off. So watch this. I put the piece on the edge and I hammer it like this. So now that will bring it at a nice angle and cause a bevel. And I actually do this 4 times. I do this on this side, I flip it over to the other side, and then flip the piece completely over and do it on those remaining 2 edges on the other side. There you go, and I need to heat this up again. Alright, so now we're going to curve the steel bar, and a couple of ways you can do this. You can do this on the anvil like I was doing there. I got it started on the edge of the anvil, and now I'm using a turning tool in the hardy hole to curve it, a curving tool. And I will return back to the anvil, and I'll show you that, to do some more curving. You know, something like this takes practice to get your eye to get the curves the way you like it, but that's, you know, that's all part of the craft. So we've actually learned, with something simple as this, we've actually learned, oh, watch this, watch how this closes up. And where you hammer it and the angle you hold it makes a big difference, and you'll see that as you practice. So like I was saying, we learned a whole bunch of new techniques here with blacksmithing and what they do and how they do it. And I'm going to put a reverse curve on this now. See, I did this first curve. Now watch what happens here. I'm going to bring that whole handle right into line so there's a center line on it. I'll show you. Once again, we go to the edge of the anvil after heating, and then I'm just going to hammer this down, watch this, to complete the letter opener. Now it has a nice center line. And that's it. Thanks for watching this video. More blacksmithing stuff coming. I even purchased a piece of Damascus steel, and I'm going to make a knife out of that. I'll leave a comment and a suggestion. Let me know what kind of things you'd like to see me blacksmith up, and I very much appreciate the comments, and I read all comments. Thank you. Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you're not a subscriber, hit that button. I always have lots of fun and interesting and very creative projects. I do 2 new ones every week. As an example, here's a couple more videos you might want to watch.